Dentists of Reddit, why do you talk to your clients when they obviously cannot respond? Dentist here, we talk to our clients 1. To let them know we don't know think they're pieces of furniture or inanimate objects we're working on. 2. If they're on gas. To check the level of sedation. 3. To pass the time for all of us. 4. To distract them from the procedure. At the start of every visit, I tell my patients to raise their left hand if they have anything they want to communicate, so they don't accidentally knock over instruments or disrupt what I'm doing by raising their right hand. If I expect a long answer or see the patient wants to communicate more than yes or no, I tell them to hold that thought, then I take the mouth prop and suction out so they can elaborate. We can understand quite a bit of garbled speech and body language actually. My dentist does it the best. She asks a question when I'm able to talk and tells some story when I'm unable to. She's very interesting and fun and make my dentist experiences enjoyable. Lol. Dentist here. This thread is hilarious and has some truth to it. Some of y'all would make horrible dentists or are just assholes. It's sometimes for distraction from what's in your mouth. Genuine conversation. We can still understand you a fair bit. Or because we know we're gonna take the stuff out of your mouth in just a second when we finish asking the question. There's no recognized course that I'm aware of that teaches how to understand this type of speech. You just kind of pick it up. It's sometimes a joke because we know you can't respond, but lets you know what we're thinking about. If we seriously don't want your tongue wiggling around, it's whenever you hear the high-pitched whistling drill. Then again, if when are in your mouth, please don't start going nuts with your tongue. We do often have sharp objects in here. As an introvert patient, I love doctors and dentists who rock a lovely playlist and get to work without bothering me with small talk when I cannot answer. My previous dentist had a great TV on the ceiling which was great. However, they seemed to be undecided with what to show. For a while they showed David Attenborough documentaries, which was good. Then they switched to the 24-hour news channel closed captioned, which was a bit meh, especially for short-sighted patients who had to remove their glasses. Then they settled on Mr. Bean, which was good in the sense it was all visual. But I'm not sure watching comedy while having your teeth filled is the best idea. My dentist is for pediatrics, but she works on me even though I'm 21 lol. Which is funny cause she's a recent grad and honestly probably only like 28 to 29. She has TVs above the chair and has Netflix and Hulu and lets you pick a show to watch. I love her so much and am gonna be so sad when I have to get an adult dentist. A lot of responses made me laugh. It's uncanny how many of us share similar sentiments. I have a dentist's appointment tomorrow and slightly apprehensive about the experience that awaits me. My dentist makes jokes while working in my mouth and has a tendency to ask questions that cannot be answered. Funny story, one time I had a stretchy latex covering in my mouth. What are they called? While getting a root canal and reclined pretty far back in the chair with a tool deep in my mouth. That made me gag. To which my dentist says, "Looks like we have a gagger." Him and his assistants all burst out laughing. Awkward moment that was. Couldn't contain myself either and resembled someone having a tremor. Still funny to this day. It's a good thing in a gagger. During a crown installation my dentist dropped the crown and I just managed to catch it with the very back of my tongue before it rolled down my throat. I coughed it up and my dentist responded, "Good thing you did that, otherwise it was going to be a messy few days fishing in your toilet." When getting my wisdom tooth pulled, the doctor told me on the count of 3 and he did it at 2. And while my mouth was locked open I called him a duck and liar. Everyone in the room laughed and then they pumped the nose or whatever for the next tooth. Awesome experience tbh. I once went through a 4-hour long root canal session and he never said a word the entire time. It was the 3rd attempt by a specialist. I have freakishly long roots. When I got my upper wisdom teeth extracted it opened air passing holes from my mouth to my sinuses. I couldn't say words with P or B in them for several weeks without reopening a hole, and slept with a tube taped to my lip to prevent forming pressure/suction in my sleep. I used to go to Thailand for dentistry. The dentist and his nurses would chat in Thai, so I would just tune out. Then suddenly realize he had just asked me a question after hearing the same sounds repeated 2 or 3 times. to keep patients at ease. Yesterday we took out a wisdom tooth, and whilst waiting for the patient to get numb, the dentist was telling some story he found hilarious from his uni days. The patient also found it funny. When it came to actually removing the tooth, we'd continue adding little jokes to the story. So the patient is listening to us and the jokes, taking their mind off of the fact that we are currently rotating a tooth around in its socket to break the ligaments and then remove the tooth entirely. Some patients are really grateful for this, as they don't even realize the tooth has been taken out. They just keep trying to talk to us and add to the conversation before asking when we are going to start. All of the people I work with are excellent at calming down nervous patients, and a lot of it is by talking or letting them choose the music we play via YouTube. I'd feel on edge if the people working on me didn't speak to me, so I like to try my best with patients. Even if they don't seem to want to talk, just give them something to distract them. Also, sometimes the dentists are actually speaking to me, the assistant, but it can be a question the patient can also reply to, such as, do you play a musical instrument, or discussing a new TV series they found. As a note for patients, try to keep your tongue away from the area we are working on if you can't keep it relaxed. It's very easy to knock an instrument with your tongue, and you can either get cut from it or cause disruption. It can also add to our stress and make it more difficult to work on you. Everything we do is in your best interests. Wow. As someone who gets hella nervous when it comes to the dentist, reading this brought me a lot of comfort. I'm supposed to have all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed sometime this year, and I really hope the people who work on me are as calming as you guys. ITD really help with my anxiety towards dentists as a whole, so I'm not internally screaming every time I need to go, no matter how small/basic the procedure may be. I got my wisdom teeth out 2 summers ago, and it wasn't nearly as bad as I expected. The only time I was nervous was when they had me hooked up to monitors, but I wasn't under yet, and they were doing stuff to get me ready for it. But I focused on breathing slowly and watching my heart rate and blood pressure go down a bit, and that helped me stay calm. I honestly didn't even need the hardcore pain meds after the first day, so I just had a chill week watching Netflix and doing arts and crafts. I only have 2 negative things about my experience. 1. After I woke up, they wouldn't let me see my mom until after I slept off the anesthesia, which made me cry. And also, the first couple months after getting them out, I kept getting food stuck back where the teeth used to be, and I'd have to use my finger to scoop it out, which was kind of gross and annoying. But overall, I was really nervous about getting my wisdom teeth out. The first time I had a baby tooth pulled, I cried and bled all over myself. But it honestly wasn't anywhere near as bad as I expected. Just make sure to follow the rules about food and straws and stuff. I ate a lot of jello and rice pudding. Dental assistant here. I like to talk so that it makes time pass quicker. There is only so many hours you can sit with a suction in someone's mouth before it gets super repetitive. Having said that, I tend to ask yes or no questions and tell the patient to answer me with their thumb. I also gauge it. Some people clearly enjoy the interaction and appreciate the distraction. Others just want to sit with headphones on and tune out. Don't be afraid to tell us what will make the experience easier for you, cause at the end of the day, we honestly want you to be as comfortable as possible. If you make it obvious you just want to lay in silence, we won't be offended. Just tell us. If you find me hilarious, then let me know. And every time you come in I will chat your ear off. Dental assistants are the MVP. When I had injections not numb my gums, the dentist was an ass when they were clearly painful and said I should be able to handle it because I have tattoos? Question mark? Question mark? Not sure what he thinks happens when you get tattoos, tbh. Then when I stood up I felt like I was getting tunnel vision. Everything was slowly going black and had no idea what was happening. Dentist was waiting at the door for me to leave, but the assistant told me to sit down. So I did, and she sat next to me. This seemed to annoy the dentist, so he just told her to deal with me then left. The assistant said I could stay as long as I needed, but to tell her if it got worse, or to tell her when I felt like I could stand up, so she could get ready to catch me if I dropped. Like damn, it costs nothing to not be a dick. My latest dentist doesn't do any small talk, so I'm convinced she hates me, and I feel even more tense when I go there. Makes me appreciate the friendly ones. Even if you have to reply gara as saliva drips down your chin. Patient here who had quite a bit of stuff done. They tell me what they're doing, what they find. Also for distractions. Once, I had my phone with me for dental surgery. I had to reply with it. Answered questions back and forth with the phone. Now it took longer than expected, and the anesthesia wore off. Their voices kept me distracted from the pain. Like the rest of the thread, not a dentist, but I think distraction might be an important tactic. So getting you to think about something else outside of the immediate experience may be beneficial. We do it so our patients feel comfortable. A lot of time we don't want their anxiety to peak, but sometimes it's accidental. I usually laugh when my patients try to talk back and apologize. As someone who has been in the chair more often than I should be, talking with a dentist can be pretty difficult with a drill and a suction tube in your mouth. But the ones I've had usually get the gist of what I'm saying. It's even more difficult when you've got that plastic thing in your mouth that holds your mouth open. They seem to be pretty efficient at interpreting body language and eye contact. Also yelps and screams. Sorry to all the people I freaked out at my first tooth extraction. That dentist was not very comforting and kept telling me to be quiet. Close bracket. Orthodontist here. It's mostly just a distraction tactic because a lot of people are nervous about dental work. I don't always expect you to respond, but it's just to take your mind of what I'm doing at the moment. It's even better if you can't respond at that moment, because then your mind is preoccupied with the question and your response. It's also comforting to hear a human voice while lying down in my chair, so sometimes I end up monologuing. Interesting question. Humans communicate more with body language, not just with words, or a shake or a nod of the head. There's also eye movement, facial muscles, shoulder orbitals, and breathing patterns. Dentists are trained to gauge your emotional state. It's basic bedside manner with a sprinkle of confessional. BTW. I'm not a dentist. I just think too much. Edit. You to your. There is a fascinating study. If I can find it, I'll link it. That proposes up to 90% of communication is nonverbal. I read into the study fairly extensively for a cumulative coursework exam a couple years ago. It postulates that prior to organized language, the only form of effective nonviolent communicating was body language. Hence why we still today will believe a human's demeanor and body language over their words. For instance, if a person says, yes, but shakes their head in a no manner, we will be inclined to accept the no over the yes. Funny story. To avoid hearing my tooth extraction at my last visit, I told the dentist I would be listening to a book. She chatted with her dental hygienist, both women, while they proceeded to rip out my tooth. At one point my dentist said something I thought was directed at me, so I paused my book. I proceeded to hear my dentist questioning her hygienist about taking off her top and driving around. Took me a minute to realize they were talking about the hygienist's Jeep Wrangler. I remember my dentist. I was having ceramics installed, and obviously I was unable to talk or communicate anything major, but the dentist was brilliant. He was telling me little stories here and there, but the problem was he was funny, and he kept asking me to stop laughing, because I was joggling, but I couldn't. The guy literally had me in stitches, which is great and all, but I'm pretty sure the procedure took almost 2x as long. 8/10 would be cut open and injected again for stories. -2 points, because he smelled of the maxes he had during his break, and it was making me very hungry. I had been going to the same dentist since I was a little kid, and when I was like 22 I went in for a cavity that needed filling. I'm sitting in the chair, the man is wrist deep in my face, and he asks if I like music. How I managed to reply, oh good, he says. I'm actually a recording artist myself. I'm gonna play you the song I'm working on. So he turns to the computer, pulls up Windows Media Player and hits play on his mixtape. Then he jams his fist back down my throat. The song is called Sexual Healing, but it's not a cover. It just has the same name, he assures me. I don't doubt his qualifications as a dentist, but he is definitely not a board certified musician. Has drilling into my tooth. The high-pitched whining of the drill is keeping harmony with what I can only describe as an ambient noise recording from the hell where bad cats go. The hygienist or whatever hoss supposed to be vacuuming out the spit and tooth dust has stopped paying attention and is gushing to the dentist about how great the song is. Oh my gosh, Dr. Oliver, is that really you? Question mark. I had no idea you were a singer. I like it way more than the Marvin Gaye one. Don't you think it's great? Begreddenki? Indistinct gargling noises. I spent half an hour being waterboarded with my own saliva while he played me a selection of his greatest hits and discussed his blossoming music career with the hygienist. I don't go to the dentist anymore. Dental assistant here. Yeah, I'd be surprised how quickly we pick up that secret language. No class or anything. Just experience. If we don't understand or have a super important question that pertains to your health, well, pause whatever we're doing. Otherwise, we usually chat because it lets you know that we're interested in you as more than a mouth trying to distract you if you seem anxious. And if you're on N2O or Halcyon or whatever, then we're checking to make sure you're responsive and how deeply you're sedated. TBH. Sometimes we're just filling the silence. The sound of buzzing tools can become a bit monotonous sometimes. As a patient, I always try to ask questions before I fall asleep, so it gives them something to talk about. One time I asked the dentists to tell the story of how he came to America and realized he wanted to be a dentist. Then I fell asleep. I get gassed every time. The dental assistant said that he talked about that for the entire 4-hour procedure. She learned a lot about him. I like to think I helped them get a closer work relationship. My dentist always asks my brother and I yes/no questions about school that we can answer with a thumbs up for yes or a thumbs down for no. I like it because it feels more like a human interaction, and my brother likes it because it helps him be less freaked out. My current dentist is Irish and she is quite lovely as a person, so I could sit there all day listening to that lilt. My previous dentist was like Teddy from Bob's Burgers. Bad jokes and all. Less enjoyable for sure. My now retired dentist would ramble on and on about food and traveling. When I was younger it was annoying, but as I got older and started to travel, I looked forward to his travel and culinary stories. Thanks Drive. Alex Manaki, you were a gem. My dentist Mare always talks to me. I thought she was queering me up. Until one day she said, "You are always so silent." I was like, WTF. I usually have a bunch of scary needles in my mouth. She laughed and said that Vera, my good friend who recommended me this dentist, she and Maya are also friends. Vera points her finger up in the air, letting Maya know that she wants to reply. Maya takes tools out of her mouth. They chat and then continue. This post makes me want to share our family's dentist quirks. The guy's a 1M90 Austrian dude with a face so square his father must have been a cabinet maker or something. When you enter his office, this guy is charming, courteous and delightful, really puts you at ease and everything. His demeanor changes completely when you get in the chair. The guy just transforms into Christopher Schultz in Inglourious Bastards. In the most serious Austrian accent you may have heard, he rattles off about the intricate differences between Vienna Schnitzel and Escalope Milanese or something he learned about recently. The mix of terror, German humor and academic lectures take complete focus off the op/cleaning/general dentistry happening. 10/10ths would recommend slim knockoff of Schwarzenegger as a dentist. If you enjoy watching these videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thanks.